Hello there, and how are you today? I have two questions for you. The first one is, do you want to be successful? And the second is, if your answer is yes, do you want to succeed at what truly matters in life? For many people, life can be a daily struggle. We practically shed blood and sweat and tears just to have a chance at succeeding in what we think are worthy pursuits. We endure long hours at work, go through several hours of traffic, pay our bills, save money, invest, juggle relationships, try to stay healthy. This desire to succeed drives us day in and day out, sometimes pushing us to our limits. Now, would it not be tragic if at the end of it all we realize that everything will have been for nothing? A very wise man named Dwight L. Moody once said this: "Our greatest fear should not be of failure, but of succeeding at things in life that don't really matter." Wow, did you get that? This is why we need to know what true success really is. And this is what this series called Life Goals is all about. Life Goals has been designed to help someone like you and me succeed at what truly matters. What is true success? How does an ordinary person achieve it? Who can we turn to for help as we strive towards a successful life? What is the ultimate purpose for success? Well, join us in the next 6 sessions as we explore and apply the principles for a truly successful life. So, are you ready for Life Goals Session 1? Do you have your workbook with you? Great. Let's begin then. Now think about this for a minute. What is your personal definition of success? How would you describe it? Or if you're the visual type and you were to draw a picture of a successful life, what would it look like? I realize that not too many people can actually articulate what real success looks like and what exactly leads up to it. This is what we want to help you discover in this series. Now, have you ever heard the term rat race? Yes, it refers to 2 or more lab rats that are racing through a maze to get to the cheese. Now, for us humans, it's often about the pursuit of power, a better position, possessing life's must-haves, or accumulating the experience of a lifetime. But as people hop from one adventure or challenge to the next, eventually they will wonder if there is still anything else left to conquer. The Bible provides an explanation for this drive, this hunger in our lives. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11 says that it was God Himself who placed a hole as big as eternity in the human heart. But what we fail to realize is that only God Himself can fill in that vacuum. We could never do it through our own efforts. Elsewhere in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 28, we're told that we are made in the image of God. And part of what that means is that we're designed to be rulers, to be fruitful, and to be productive, because these are the moments when we feel most alive. But how do you do that? How do we experience the true brand of success that God designed us for? Okay, let's first look at what we should not do. Today, we'll look at the parable of the rich fool. And this can also be found in your workbook on page 10. Now, just from the title of the parable itself, you can already tell it's not going to be a happy story. Jesus told a story about a rich man who was so greedy and thought he could just build bigger barns so that he could sit back and relax, eat, drink, and be merry. But contrary to what he thought, God said to that man that he was a fool for thinking this way. And worse is that his soul will be demanded of him that very night. And who would end up owning what he prepared? See, I told you, not a happy story. So what can we learn from this parable? Well, number 1 is guard the cravings of your heart. The story reminds us that the human heart keeps longing for more. It's hardly satisfied with what it already has. Now remember the guy in the story? His barns were already full, and yet he still wanted more and decided to build a larger barn. His material success became the source of his security and satisfaction. And Jesus gave a sharp warning in verse 15. He said, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, because life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." I like this quote from an Indian film superstar. He said, "Whether you have a Maruti or a BMW, the road remains the same. Whether you travel economy class or business, your destination doesn't change. Whether you have a Titan or a Rolex, the time is the same. Whether you have an iPhone or a Lenovo, the people who call you remain the same." Now, there's nothing wrong with dreaming about a luxurious life, but what you and I need to be careful about is not to let the need become greed. Because needs can always be met, but greed can never be fulfilled. The second thing we can learn from the parable is that we need to be aware of counterfeit success. The short parable reminds us that there must be more to success than just the accumulation of possessions or trophies. Now, you've heard it said many times before, you can't take it with you. You want to know what King Solomon said? Now, who was King Solomon? He was just the wisest, richest king of Israel. And this was his conclusion. He said, "For a person may labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then they must leave all they own to another who has not toiled for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune." You see, the best things in life are not things. True success lies not in what we keep for ourselves, but how we enrich the lives of other people. The Bible tells us where we should invest in and where we should set our hearts on. "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you." There is truth in the saying that the only things we really are able to keep are those that we give away. The fault of the rich man is that he kept success to himself, and he became focused on enriching only himself. And it is this self-centered pursuit of success that led to a futile and sad end to his life. And finally, we should aim for success that lasts. Verse 21 of the parable highlights the need to be successful in the area of being rich towards God. Now, what does that mean? Well, the rich man was too focused building his worldly success that he neglected this inevitable reality. His life was not his own, and one day he would have to give an account of that life before God. The rich man in the parable failed to invest in the most important thing, his relationship with God. And when you and I finally appear before God, that moment can either be a time of great joy or of deep regret. All that we have worked for shall be measured against the test of eternal value. And that is so very different from how the world measures success. Jesus clarified with His disciples what being rich towards God meant. It means living life in a personal relationship with God, acknowledging Him as our Master. It means living a life that is pleasing to Him and a blessing to other people. This is the kind of true success you and I were designed for. Well, I hope you learned something today, and I pray you will have a fruitful discussion in your small group. God bless you all.